Hey guys, welcome to this video series that I'm publishing that are snippets of videos from my membership website fromthefield.farm. And in today's video, we're talking about farm design. This is a snippet of a really long video I did. It's probably around an hour long, looking at a bunch of different farms. And if you guys have followed me on YouTube here for a while, you know that I visit farms all around the world, and I usually have my drone with me, and I get these great drone photographs. And so this video is essentially me just drawing on my iPad and making notes about certain elements of design on the farm. So taking into consideration things like outbuildings, greenhouse orientation and placement, and post-harvest placement, and bed orientation and accessibility. In this video, I talk about a whole variety of subjects that are important to consider if you're designing a farm. And in this little snippet, we're just going to look at Green City Acres, my farm, kind of show you guys why things are certain ways, and what is my context and what are the factors and the limiting factors that I had to work with in order to make my farm work in the place that it is. So I hope you find it helpful, and if you do want to see more stuff like this, head over to fromthefield.farm. This is a membership site that I have built where I'm posting exclusively long form, super detailed and educational content every single week. I post a featured video every week that's similar to what you're seeing here. This is just a snippet of it. And then I have a podcast where I answer members' questions. Those are often an hour long or over. And then I post snippets of videos, sometimes that are just little bits, like 1 or 2 minutes long, of something specific so that people can search the site and find answers to something they're looking for. We also have a forum, a discussion forum in the website. There's thousands of members in here having awesome conversations about the details of the content that I'm publishing. There's no haters in here. There's no trolls. It's just really good, focused conversation of people who want to talk about the subjects. And it's an awesome community, and I would encourage you to join if you want to see more stuff like this. So head over to fromthefield.farm and sign up. The membership is only open 4 times a year. I open it for 2-week periods. So if you're seeing this video close to the time that it was published, this one is open from April 5th to April 19th. So make sure you sign up before then. All right, guys, I'd love to see you in there. Enjoy. We're going to look at a bunch of different farms, and we're going to talk about farm design. We're going to look at 2 of Jean Martin's farms. We're going to look at 2 Steadfast farms, one from the previous year and then the newest one. We're going to look at all the things, the geographical considerations, the physical obstructions, where you want to put your post-harvest infrastructure. Basically look at a bunch of different farms and talk about why things are a certain way or how they could be better if I were to redesign them. I've done hundreds of hours of consulting, and I've learned a lot along the way, and so I've seen things done certain ways, and there's always a reason for certain things, and it's important to understand those, but it's also important to think about better ways you could do them so that when it comes time to set up yours, or maybe you're going to get into consulting and start and helping people design their farms. So these are all things that you're going to find extremely valuable in this video. It's going to be presented like a PowerPoint, and we're just going to go through all these farms and check them out one by one. All right, let's get into it. Okay, so let's get into this. I'm going to show you guys a variety of farms. We're going to look at a bunch of farms, actually, and we're going to revisit Steadfast Farm from the video you saw last week. But basically in this video, what I want to show you guys are just things to consider when you're setting up a farm. What are sort of outside variables you're considering? These could be things that are environmental, geographical, and social. Also, just logistically, how you're orientating your farm based on your workflow. I've done a lot of consulting on this stuff over the past. I've set up many farms across the United States and Canada, and what I'm going to be sharing with you guys are farms that I have featured in YouTube videos and farms that you might know. So there are also farms that I have good drone shots of because a lot of the consulting I do is actually over the phone or Skype, so I don't have like really great stuff to show you for consulting I've done in the past. So I'm going to focus on farms that I've actually visited, which is actually going to be better anyways because I have a far better outlook on those farms. So let's get started with Green City Acres. So this has been my farm for the last 10 years, and as many of you guys know here on the site, I'm actually taking a break from farming. So my farm is currently in hiatus. So but this is what it was. This is just recent. This is 2018. All these photos, because you can see I've got my new garden in the front there, my homestead garden, and so let's talk about Green City Acres, the logistics. I figured this would be a good starting point because it's how a lot of you are familiar with my work. So Green City Acres is still really a 1/4 acre market garden. And so when I say 1/4 acre, I'm talking about just productive space, right? So I'm talking about that little plot there, which is about 800 square feet, would be contributing to the productive space of the farm. That greenhouse here, so on and so forth. So what it is 46 50-foot beds combined. And this is the home base of Green City Acres. And I want to start with this. I'm going to show you the other plots too, but I want to start with this one because it explains a lot of how logistically we organize things on the farm. And I would also encourage you to, if there's little things in here where, say, I talk about the post-harvest area and you're curious what the Green City Acres post-harvest area looks like, just go onto YouTube and go to my channel, put in the search post-harvest. You could even put post-harvest Green City Acres and you'll find many videos on my post-harvest area. So in this video, I'm not going to be talking about the details of each section. It's more about just the broad view of why things are organized a certain way and what are the factors you want to consider. So as many of you know, you've probably seen this in previous videos, but this is the homestead. So we have a solar powered house. The front yard of my homestead is now out of the farm, so it was no longer, even in 2018, part of the farm production. This is my neighbor's yard here, and so we have a high rotation plot there, so exclusively only quick growing crops grown there. We got a series of 25-foot beds here, and then these ones are 50-foot beds. And that's just, one of the things that you have to deal with as an urban farm. Your bed size can't be ideal. You can't always be the same spot or the same size. And in a perfect world, it could be. And this is one of the biggest advantages to being in just an open lot, which all the other farms we're going to look at are that. They're not restricted by geography like I am. So in a perfect world, I would have 50-foot beds everywhere. This one here is our main high tunnel. It's semi-heated. We can do crops in there all winter long. Even right now, I've got spinach and carrots in there that I'm not selling right now. I'm just eating myself. But so we can do crops in there year round. We put a shade cloth on that to get it cooled down in the summer. So that's a 50% shade cloth, which I discovered is actually too much. A 30% would be better. And then this area here is very important. So this greenhouse is my passive solar greenhouse. Technically, it's not entirely passive, but that's what we call it. Search videos on my YouTube channel if you want to see more about that. I actually am also selling the designs for that. I paid $2,000 to get drawings for this greenhouse. You can actually get them for cheaper than that. If you go on my website, theurbanfarmer.co, and then go into resources, there'll be a tab that says Curtis's Greenhouse Designs. You can actually buy them. And I've actually re-engineered them with my friend Rob Avis, who's an engineer. And anyways, people often ask me, so if you want to check that out, that's an option there if you want to build one of these things. But the cool thing about this greenhouse for Green City Acres is not only was it a greenhouse that we can do microgreens and our nursery starts in year-round, we can put supplemental lighting in here if we want. I'm recording this from that greenhouse. But mostly we just relied on sunlight, so we could put shade cloth on the front in the summer if we wanted to keep our microgreens in there throughout the summer. but it also acts as our post-harvest area. So this is the linchpin of the entire farm, because not only do I have crops in here, so this functions as a nursery, but it's also functioning as our post-harvest area. And we have a walk-in cooler actually in the greenhouse in the back corner there. And then in the summer, the post-harvest area came to out here underneath this area where the solar panel is, and we moved the walk-in coolers to about here, sort of on the back of the greenhouse, and then we had our washing areas and all that. But in the winter, we could actually do that in the greenhouse. So if we broaden things out here, I'm going to go to another slide. You can see, one of the challenges with an urban farm is you can't have post-harvest at all your plots. And Green City Acres, in the last year of our production, that was the 9th year of our production, we consolidated everything down to 3 plots. I've had over 20 different plots over the years. So in our most recent year, we had everything into 3 plots. So you can see my house down here. If you look on the map here, this is just a Google Earth snapshot. That's where we just were. So that's our post-harvest area. And then just a quarter of a kilometer down, there's a little laneway here. We've got another plot right here that was a high rotation plot. You can't actually see it in the satellite image because they don't update these all the time. So we had that plot that had 11 50-foot beds there, and then just down the road and here we've got our other high rotation plot that had 12 50-foot beds, and then 2 high tunnels that are 36 feet long. One has 4 beds, one has 6 beds in them. So that is Green City Acres. That's the entire production. But the thing that's worth pointing out logistically here is how close these are to the post-harvest area. Like, it only takes, on our bikes, it just takes about 2 minutes to do this distance, and then here it just takes like 30 seconds. So anytime stuff was harvested, it would go straight into the walk-in coolers at the post-harvest area, and then would get dealt with later. But geographically, that was very important. If our farm was bigger as an urban farm and spread out more, like longer distances, and it was in the past in earlier years, I had some plots that were 5 kilometers away, and that was a real hassle if you were harvesting crops that needed to get into cold right away to get the field heat off. And so that's why logistically, if you're urban farming with multiple locations like I am, you want to consider your closest plots to your home base being your post-harvest area here. You want to have all of your high rotation plots, that's a term I refer to if you are familiar with my book, are the quick growing crops. Those are the crops you want to have close to your main location. And then you can have longer term crops, squashes, onions, things that don't decay and break down so quickly. They can be geographically further away. But all the salad greens and microgreens need to be really close to your home base. So those are some of the really important considerations there. One thing I'll point out too here is the way my greenhouses are orientated. People always ask me about this. I find in colder climates, and I know there are some exceptions for this, but generally speaking in colder climates, your greenhouses are going to be orientated facing the south. So that means if you have a long tunnel shaped like this, that's east and west, and then it's facing the south. That's the most ideal way to have your tunnels orientated. Main reason for that is in the northern hemisphere, the sunlight is further down or on the southern side of your hemisphere for the most part. That means that you're going to get more light gain coming in this way. And there are exceptions to that. Sometimes with caterpillar tunnels, if they're just up and down, it doesn't really matter which way they're orientated, who cares? But for permanent tunnels, I have found that it's generally better to orientate them facing the south, meaning that they're lengthwise east and west. So these tunnels here, this is the south down this way, so these are orientated. This was the east here, this is the west, so I'm getting the most amount of solar gain there. With the low tunnels down below, it doesn't matter. These tunnels here were actually the same, so that is the south there, so those are ideally orientated. Didn't matter, they're caterpillar tunnels though. And then back at the home base, same thing here. I can just go back. this is the south. So we have optimal orientation there. So that's it for pretty much Green City Acres. Let's move on and look at some more farms. Oh, again here, just another top shot of the home base at Green City Acres. Again, there is my southern exposure there, ideal orientation. You know, one thing I'll say on this before I move forward is one of the challenges with urban is you always have other obstructions. Like I have my neighbor's building here, which gives me shade in the morning, which isn't ideal because this is my east. It would be more ideal if I had optimal light coming in here in the morning. And that's often something too, if you're setting up greenhouses, if you don't have perfect southern orientation, if you end up having a slight eastern orientation, it's actually just fine. You could have a 15-degree, let's just pretend these greenhouses were this way, facing the southeast. In a cold climate, that's actually more ideal because it means that you gain more light direct on in the morning, and then you actually get a little bit of a break from it in the afternoon, which is fine even in the winter because you've gained all that light and heat throughout the day, and then it can kind of taper down in the afternoon, and that's totally fine. So that's something to keep in mind. You know, if you're setting up a new farm and you don't have perfect southern exposure, people often think that you have to have southern exposure, and south to southeast is just totally fine.